Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video because we are doing a drugstore versus high-end blush, and I'm going to be comparing one of my all-time favorite blushes, which is the Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Wand in Peachgasm. This is like my favorite blush of like anything I've ever tried. And we're doing that versus the Wet n Wild MegaGlo Makeup Stick Blush in the shade Peach Bums. So they're pretty similar just in the way they look. So we're gonna get into trying them out, seeing if the Wet n Wild one can work as a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury one, all that. So make sure to stay tuned if you wanna see what happens there. But if you haven't already, make sure to give this a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Just means the world to me, and you get 3 videos a week, so make sure to subscribe. But like I said, if you want to see the rest of this video going over the comparison of those two blushes, then stay tuned for the rest of the video. Alright, so I have both of these pulled up. I'm just gonna read up on some information on them. I'm gonna show you the swatches that I already did because I just couldn't wait. I had to swatch them on the back of my hand, and the similarity between them is actually pretty insane. I, of course, haven't seen them yet like side to side on my face, so I don't know how that's gonna turn out yet, but just from this swatch, it's kind of crazy. I think we might have a dupe if the Wet n Wild one performs well enough, so we'll see. But I'm just gonna start out reading a little bit about each one. So for the Charlotte Tilbury, the Glowgasm Beauty Light Wand, I have it pulled up on the website. This one goes for $38. Again, it's the shade Peachgasm, because you guys know I love a peachy blush. And for the description here, it just says, for a gorgeous, glowing highlight blush, Glowgasm Beauty Light Wand in Peachgasm adds a kiss of peachy color to your cheeks and is inspired by the beautifying effects of fun. It plays with the light beautifully for a soft, focused glow that bathes you in beauty, light, and joy. If you loved Charlotte's Hollywood Beauty Light Wand, you will love the Glowgasm Beauty Light Wands. And there's 0.41 fluid ounces in here, just so that we know how much is in each of these. And again, that's $38. And then I have the Wet n Wild one pulled up in the shade Peach Bums. This is 0.21 fluid ounces, so half of what the Charlotte Tilbury is, and it goes for $4.49, so almost $5, which is like a fraction of the price of the Charlotte Tilbury one, like way less. And for the details on this one, it just says, in one swipe of a stick, you can get catwalk ready cheekbones, naturally flushed cheeks, or an insanely glowy complexion with Wet n Wild's MegaGlo Makeup Stick Conceal and Contour. And that's pretty much all it says on the website for this. So I'm gonna show you guys the swatches that I did, and you're maybe gonna freak out a little bit because it's very similar. So here are my swatches. I know the camera is picking up showing that this one's a little bit more pinky and this one's a little bit more peachy. It does look that way when you're just looking at it like this, but when you move it in different kind of ways, the light hits it differently and they look exactly the same. Like, it's actually pretty crazy. Honestly, if I was just looking at it like this, like maybe from this angle, I wouldn't be able to tell which one's which if I didn't know which one I swatched where. So this one is actually the Wet n Wild, and then this one is the Charlotte Tilbury. Both of them are super creamy and smooth and just really great. Overall, they felt really nice. Both blended really nicely too. Let me just show you how these kind of blend out. Like, they both move around really nice and easy. I don't know, like, just from the swatch on my hand, I don't really know what I would prefer, which is kind of crazy because if you guys have been with me for a while, you know my love for the Charlotte Tilbury Peachgasm. Like, this is seriously one of my favorite products that I've ever tried, period. Like, I recommend this to people all the time because nobody is going to dislike this. It's just so good. So of course I wanted to see if there is a less expensive version of this that is maybe just as good. So I'm very excited. These swatches are very, very promising. One thing though that I'm noticing that I will say is that the Wet n Wild one seems like it's a little tiny bit more glittery than the Charlotte Tilbury one. Like that one is just like a glow, like a natural glow. And then I'm seeing like tiny little flecks of glitter in the Wet n Wild one. So that may or may not be a deal breaker. We'll see. I don't know how well you guys can notice it though. This is the Wet n Wild and this is the Charlotte Tilbury. But let's just start applying and we will see. I think I'm gonna make, no, I can't. I was going to make it a surprise, like how I normally do, where like I don't tell you what I'm putting on what side, but that's not really gonna work because I have to like swipe them across my cheeks. So this one's not gonna be a surprise, but at the end, be honest on which one you like better anyways. Try not to be biased. Try to just pick something, like very honestly. So I think I'm gonna start with the Wet n Wild on this side of my face. I'm just gonna swipe like I normally would, and then I'm gonna blend it out with a beauty blender. And I will do the same with the Charlotte Tilbury on the other side. I already have the rest of my makeup applied. My face is done. The only thing I have left to do is this because it works as a blush and a highlighter. So this is the last step. I'm just gonna apply it, blend, and then we're gonna just talk about what we see and what we think, what's better, if this could be a dupe for the other. Let's just get into it. Okay, both sides are applied. I definitely notice similarities and I did notice a couple differences, so I just wanna get into it. Let me just show you both sides first. Here's the Charlotte Tilbury side. Ignore that huge blemish right there. And then here is the Wet n Wild side. I do want to start by saying that I love both. I think both of them turned out so beautiful. Both have just like the most beautiful peachy color. Both blended out really nicely. And you can tell that both sides gave me like a really nice peachy flush of color and are giving me a highlight. But a couple of the differences that I did notice. First, the Charlotte Tilbury side is a little bit more dewy. Like I feel like this side of my face just has a little bit more of like a glow to it, like a highlighted blush kind of thing. This side still is highlighted and glowy, but just not as intense as this side. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but I'm definitely noticing the difference. This side's definitely like more kind of intense of a highlight, and honestly I kind of like that better on this side than just like the kind of a little bit more toned down kind of look. But I feel like this side is giving me a little bit more pigment than this side is, so I feel like with that swatch even we were getting a little bit more of like a deeper pinky kind of thing than with the Peachgasm, and it definitely shows on the face too. Like I feel like I put a pretty equal amount of both products on each side of my face, but this one is giving more of a pigmented look. So I do like that this side is more pigmented than this side while still being kind of subtle. I do also want to point out though that this side, it is like a creamy texture, and it was a little bit harder to blend into the rest of my makeup than this side was. Like just the consistency of this being like a liquid made it very easy to blend everything out. It was really easy to just take my beauty blender and just dab everything into its place and it was set. This side took a little bit more work to just like move around because it is that like creamier texture. So it was just kind of like wanting to stay in one place and I had to like maneuver it a little bit. But once I did, it turned out really perfect. Like I would say neither side of my face looks like splotchy or patchy or anything like that. I really do feel like both of them blended into my makeup really, really nicely. And I almost feel like if you didn't know that I was wearing two different blushes, that you would think that the same one is on both sides of my face. Like I know I pointed out a couple differences, but I feel like those are also differences that you'd only notice if you were really looking for those differences, which of course I was. So I really do feel like they are similar in the way that the finished result looks, just with those tiny little differences, like the glow on this side versus on this side, the pigment on this side versus on this side. But other than that, they were both like, they both just like blended out really, really nicely. They both look really, really beautiful. I love the way that both sides of my face look. And I also feel like neither side is like accentuating my pores too much. I feel like they both did a pretty good job of just like not doing anything much to my pores. Overall, I really, really, really am happy with both sides. Of course, the winner to me between these two, if I had to pick one, it's gonna be the Charlotte Tilbury side, just because I feel like it's giving me that overall kind of like little flush of color with like a nice highlighted glow, like the perfect for the summer kind of thing. I love the consistency of the Charlotte Tilbury one more than I do the Wet n Wild. I just love a liquid more than a cream. I feel like it's easier to work with and easier to just like blend in. So I definitely do think the Charlotte Tilbury is the winner, but only by the tiniest bit, because I definitely think that this could be a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury one. They're just so similar in how they turned out, and I'm in love with the way that both sides of my face look. So I definitely think if you were trying to get something that looked really similar to this and not pay $38, if you got the Wet n Wild cream blush, you would be super, super happy with it. Like honestly, I'm probably going to be using this a ton because it really impressed me with the way that it turned out. I also feel like the little flecks of glitter that I noticed in the swatch are not really showing when I put it on my face. Like it just looks like a glow, not like chunky glitter. So I feel like just everything about both of these, like they're really, really similar, both really, really beautiful. And I really do think you can get a Charlotte Tilbury cheek with a Wet n Wild price. So I definitely do think that we have a dupe. Yes, I love when that happens. That is super exciting. I'm super happy with how everything turned out, but make sure to comment and let me know what you guys think. Let me know which side you preferred, what turned out better, what your favorite was, what you liked, what you didn't like, all of that. So make sure to comment, let me know your thoughts, give this a thumbs up if you haven't already, and please subscribe to my channel. Like I said in the beginning, it just means the world to me, and then you're not missing out on 3 videos a week. So subscribe, stay tuned, and I will see you guys in the next video.